Hello students, today we'll look at working of air compression. We will see how air compressor works and also we will see classification and applications, and also we will try to solve some problems on air compressors. So we'll go one by one. So first we'll see what are the applications of air compressors. Generally, we know that in a IC engine, there will be 4 strokes. One is first one will be suction stroke, then compression stroke, then there will be combustion of fuel, then there will be expansion or power stroke. So whereas in a gas turbine, all these processes will be done separately. So there will, for compression there will be a compressor, and for combustion there will be a combustion chamber. After combustion chamber, for power stroke or expansion, there will be a turbine. This will be like this. So, for this purpose, for all gas turbines and also for propulsion, that means for aircrafts or space, any space vehicles, these gas turbines are generally used. For that purpose, compressor is a must for all these applications, and it is also used for pneumatic tools. So you may have observed that there will be pneumatic drilling when there is a construction work going. It has to be broken down, concrete breaking. These tools are powered by a pneumatic. Here pneumatic stands for compressed air. If the working fluid is a compressed air, then it can be called as a pneumatic device. There are a number of pneumatic devices which will use in engineering applications. So, and then again, third application is pneumatic brakes for locomotives. So, generally for locomotives, even for automobiles also, pneumatic brakes are used. Hydraulic brakes or pneumatic brakes. If you say there is a symbol like this, air brake, that means compressed air or pneumatic brakes are used. For the same purposes, in a lorry, you may observe this air tank. Air tank will be there. So to store this compressed air. Okay. Then again, spray painting. For spray painting, you have observed that for many applications, there will be a gun in which there will be a tank like this, spray tank, and there will be a gun like this. Okay, one person will hold this gun and he will try to spray it on a wall or something like that. So here paint will be filled here, and this will be connected to a compressed air tank. So with high pressure, this compressed air coming out of this gun. So if there is a drop of paint coming from this paint bottle, this drop will be sprayed onto this wall as required. So this is how it is one of the important application of compressed air, which is spray paint. And then spraying of fuel in diesel engines. We know that diesel engines use fuel injector to inject the fuel directly into the engine. So there are two types of injection systems. One is air injection and another one is solid injection. In solid injection, fuel is directly pumped into the engine, whereas in air injection, compressed air will be used to break the fuel into fine droplets. Okay, that is this is also an application for compressed air. And this compressed air can be used for inflating of tires. For all automobile tires will be inflated using this compressed air, and also for cleaning of surfaces. When there is work should be done on any surface, air will be blasted onto the surface for cleaning of components. So these are the main applications of compressed air. If we go to the classification, Compressors are mainly divided into positive displacement and rotodynamic or simply dynamic. So this can be rotodynamic compressor. So in positive displacement means moving from one place to another, say in this direction. Say if you say this direction is positive, it will be only in this direction. That means, say if there is a compressor, air at low pressure will coming into the system, into the compressor, and high pressure air will be going out of the compressor. In any case, if there is an obstruction or in any whatever the may be case, this cannot be go in this direction. That is highly not possible. This compressor will fail. Even though it fails, it won't allow the direction of air to be negative. That is why it is called positive displacement compressors. Whereas in rotodynamic compressor, the best example of rotodynamic compressor is a centrifugal compressor. In centrifugal compressor, there will be a impeller. Here there will be entering of atmospheric air, and due to high velocity of the compressor, so this air will be getting out of the impeller due to centrifugal force, and this all will be collected and sent to a high pressure air will be coming out of the compressor. In this case, what happens is there is a chance of if there is an obstruction here, this air will be rotating here or it may go back, because there is no solid surface restriction. Whereas in this case, there we will use non-return valves during suction and also non-return valve during delivery. So there is no chance of coming back. Whereas in rotodynamic, there is a chance of this thing, air can flow back. Okay, and also that is why it is called positive displacement. There will be no going back. Whereas in rotodynamic, only there are two types of rotodynamic compressor. One is centrifugal compressor and another one is axial compressor. Whereas in positive displacement, there are two types: reciprocating and rotary. In reciprocating, there will be a piston and cylinder arrangement in which compression takes place. Where in rotary, only rotary motion, lobe compressor, screw compressor, vane compressor, liquid ring, scroll compressor. There are different types of compressor. We have lobe compressor and vane compressor in syllabus. These two types of compressor we will see in this class. Coming to the reciprocating compressor, there are two types: single acting, double acting, and also there is a diaphragm. Single acting, double acting means, say suppose there is a cylinder in which piston is there. So generally when it comes from top dead center to bottom dead center, this air will be getting into the system, which is called suction stroke. During this when it is coming back to TDC from BDC, compression of air takes place at certain pressure. This air will get delivered. This is called single acting. Only one side of the piston is active. Whereas say if I made an arrangement like this, and this will be connected to some crank. So here what happens is when it is coming from top dead center to bottom dead center, here suction takes place and here compression takes place, and the reverse. So if the working fluid, which is air, acts on both sides of the piston, it is called double acting compressor. Okay, a diaphragm, it is not required. These are the main classification of. There are further classifications like single stage, multi-stage. If there is only one cylinder, it is called single stage. There are two cylinders, it is called multi-stage. Two or more, it is called multi-stage, and so on and so forth. So if you look at the working of a reciprocating compressor, here this is the piston, connecting rod, crankcase, and this is the crank. This is driven by a prime mover. Generally there may be a prime mover, means there may be a IC engine which produces the mechanical energy. That mechanical energy will be supplied to the compressor, or there may be a electric motor. So if you give power supply to a motor, it will rotate and that will drive this compressor. Say initially it is at top dead center. So if it is rotated in this direction, this piston will come from top dead center to say bottom dead center. During this action, here pressure reduces. So pressure reduces means this valve will get opened like this. So this will be opened and compressed air will be coming like this. Okay, after that this low pressure air will be filled inside the cylinder. After that, what happens is, again piston moves from bottom dead center to top dead center. Then due to pressure, this valve will gets closed, and after reaching certain point, the pressure inside the cylinder is enough to lift this valve. So here valve will be opened and this high pressure air will be getting out of the cylinder. Here there will be no valve mechanism. Valves are operated by pressure difference. If the here pressure is low, this will get open. If here pressure is high, this will get open. Depending on that, here valves will operate. Okay, this is the general construction of an this is this thing compressor, and here the different fins are provided for cooling of this compressor. It is driven by an electric motor. This is the air filter. It will suck the air inside the cylinder, and this is delivered to a delivery tank. Compressed air stored inside this delivery tank. This air can be used for spray painting, inflating of tires, pneumatic tools, everything can be used using this compressed air which is stored inside the storage tank. This is the function of a simple reciprocating pump. So the another function I have already told you that there is another reciprocating compressor which is called multi-stage compression. Here the thing is, in multi-stage compression there are different advantages, like if you see here one thing, say if you say we are saying that when it is there is a piston and cylinder arrangement, this is the suction valve in which fresh air will be entering into the system, or low pressure air, and there will be a delivery valve. Here what happens is, when piston is coming down, air will enter the compressed compressor. So if you draw a PV diagram, so from top dead center here to bottom dead center, so this is 0, this is 1. So from top dead center to bottom dead center, the pressure, to maintain constant pressure inside the cylinder, fresh air will be coming into the system. So after that there will be a compression. Say this can be, say suppose this compression is done using polytropic process, PV power N equal to constant. After reaching certain pressure, so it moves from bottom dead center to here bottom dead center to some point, and then due to increase in pressure, this delivery valve will open and the compressed air will get out of the cylinder. So this is how the PV diagram will be for a compressor. If you calculate the area of the compressor, it will give you the work done or work input to the compressor. The formula for W equal to, so the formula for work done is W equal to N by N minus 1 into P2 V2 minus P1 V1. If you take P1 V1 common out of this, it will become N by N minus 1 into P1 V1 P2 V2 by P1 V1 minus. Here if you rewrite this P2 V2 by P1 V1, it will become P2 by P1 multiplied by P1 by P2 whole power gamma, because not gamma, it will be N, because here P1 V1 is equal power N equal to P2 V2 power N. So V2 by V1 is equal to P1 by P2 whole power 1 by N. So it should be 1 by N. If you reciprocate this, will become P2 by P1 whole power minus 1 by N. So that becomes P2 by P1 into 1 minus 1 by N, or can also be written as N minus 1 by N. So the final formula for take it aside, work done will be N by N minus 1 into P1 V1 multiplied by P2 by P1 whole power N minus 1 by N minus 1. This is the formula for work done by the compressor. This is, if you observe closely, so here pressure will be in kilopascals and volume will be in meter cube. So finally you will get Newton per meter square into meter cube, kilo Newton meter. That means it is in joules. If you want to calculate power required by the compressor, it will be W into N by 60, where N is speed in RPM. This will give the power of the compressor in kilowatts. Okay. So if it is a polytropic process, you draw the PV diagram for all the process. So initially this is 0, 1, 2, 3. So this is PV power, N is equal to constant. In generally N means it will be between 1 and 1.4 or gamma. If it is PV power 1.4, that will be slightly, so this will be PV power gamma equal to constant. If it is isothermal process, that will be like this. So this is PV equal to constant. So for a compressor, if it is an isothermal compression, the work input we have to give will be very less, whereas for adiabatic it will be maximum, and for polytropic it will be in between isothermal. And if it is a adiabatic process, the work will be similar formula. Instead of N, there will be gamma by gamma minus 1 into P1 V1 multiplied by P2 by P1 whole power gamma minus 1 by gamma minus 1. This is the formula if it is a adiabatic process. Whereas for isothermal process, this work isothermal will be equal to P1 V1 multiplied by ln of V2 by V1, or you can say it is the compression ratio. So for isothermal process, PV equal to constant, or P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2, or you can write V2 by V1 is equal to P1 by P2. So that can also be done. P1 V1 ln P1 by P1 by P2. If at all it comes negative, it is okay, because here in a compressor work is done on the system, so it will come negative. Here pressure P1 is less than P2, so that is why it will come negative, which means work is done on the system. Okay, this is the expression for a compressor in single stage or single stage reciprocating compressor. If you move to multi-stage compression, here what happens is, we have seen that, say if you draw the PV diagram, it is like this. So this is the P1 pressure point here, P1. So what happens during compression, the temperature of the gas or air will increase. So if you say that instead of doing the compression in single stage or single cylinder, here we are doing multi-stage. That means 2 cylinders will be used to compress the air, and in between there is an intercooler. It is called intercooler. Here this is the intercooler. Okay, intercooler, what is at some point, say like this. So this won't be 2. So there will be some point here. We will do only from 1 to 2 it will be compressed in first stage, and then there will be cooling. Due to cooling at constant pressure, this cooling will be done. Same pressure, P2 will be, the inlet will be P2, and at the outlet of the intercooler it will be at same pressure. But what happens, due to decrease in temperature, the volume will decrease from here to here, from here to here. So now we will do the compression in second stage. Instead of say 1 to A, we are doing it 1 to 2, 2 dash, then 3. So this much of work will be saved due to multi-stage compression using 2 cylinders, and there will be intercooler. If you observe that one size of the one cylinder is less than the size of the other cylinder, this is because the volume is reduced in first stage. Say suppose if it is 1 meter cube volume, after compression it will become say 0.3 meter cube. So that much volume is required for the second stage. So the size of the high pressure cylinder, so this is low pressure cylinder, this is high pressure cylinder, this is low pressure cylinder, this is high pressure cylinder. The size of the high pressure cylinder will be less than the low pressure cylinder because the decrease in volume. By using intercooler, this multi-stage can be reduced like this. If you see this into analysis, so what we are doing in multi-stage compression is, by using intercooler, so this is a PV diagram, by using multi-stage compression, we are doing like this. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. So this much amount of, if it is done in one stage, this curve will be elongated like this. So this much amount of work is being saved by multi-stage compression. Okay, this pressure is known as intermediate pressure or intercooler pressure. Intercooler pressure or intermediate pressure. So here, depending on this point, this work saved will be different. Say suppose if you done here, it will be like this. If you done here, it will be like this, like that. So for a minimum work, which we have to minimize because we are giving work, that is why it should be the intermediate pressure will be equal to square root of P1 and P3. This is the condition for minimum work. If this work input has to be minimum, that intermediate or intercooler pressure should be equal to square root of P1 into P3. Say suppose if atmospheric pressure or pressure, suction pressure of first cylinder is 1 bar, and if the delivery pressure P3 equal to 36 bar, so it should be equal to square root of 1 into 36 equal to 6 bar. 6 bar should be the intermediate pressure to minimize the work input. This is the condition for minimum work. So now coming to the expression for work input, so we have to add two conditions. So two cylinders work. So first will be n by n minus 1 P1 V1 multiplied by P2 by P1 whole power gamma minus n minus 1 by n minus 1 plus n by n minus 1 into P2 V2 dash. So here this is 0.2 dash. This will be the input point for the second stage compression. P2 V2 dash multiplied by P3 by P2 whole power n minus 1 by n minus 1. So here assumption is after intercooling temperature will be T2 dash will be equal to T1. So the temperature of say suppose in first stage we have compressed, initially it is say 300 Kelvin, after compression it become 500 Kelvin. So in the intercooler we will decrease the temperature again to 300 Kelvin and then it will go to the high pressure cylinder, like that. So if this is the case, P2 V2 dash will be equal to P1 V1. So this is called as perfect intercooling. Okay. This can also be assumed when minimum work is to be calculated. Okay, so then this can be taken out. So n by n minus 1 into P1 V1 into P2 by P1 whole power n minus 1 by n plus P3 by P2 whole power n minus 1 by n minus 2. So for minimum work, what we are saying, P2 is equal to square root of P1 P3 or P2 square is equal to P1 P3. P2 by P1 is equal to P3 by P2. Okay, P2 by P1 is equal to P3 by P2. So if you rewrite this using this equation, n by n minus 1 into P1 V1. So both are same, this and this. So 2 we can write it like this, 2n by n minus 1 into P2 by P1 whole power n minus 1 by n minus 1, like this. Or if you from here, if you write P3 by P1, that is equal to P3 by P1 is equal to P3 by P1 is equal to P2 by P1 whole square. See here, P3 by P1 is equal to P2 by P1 whole square. Why? From this, if you say P2 square is equal to P1 into P3 by P1. So for this, you have to multiply 1 P1. Okay, this is the, so P1 into P1, P1 square, it comes here, become P2 square by P1 square. This is not required. Okay, from this, if you rewrite this expression again, it will become 2n by n minus 1 into P1 V1. So P2 by P1 will be equal to P3 by P1 whole power 1 by 2. So P3 by P1 whole power n minus n by 2n minus 1. Okay. So this is the expression minimum work for multi-stage compression. Say suppose if it is a 3-stage compression, it will become 3n by n minus 1 into P1 V1 P3 by, so that will be P4 by P1 whole power n minus 1 by 3n minus 1. If it is a multi-stage compression with x number of stages, it will become xn by n minus 1 into P1 V1 multiplied by Px by, no, it will be Px plus 1. Px was 1 by P1 whole power n minus 1 by xn minus 1. Okay, these are the expression for multi-stage compression, and the condition for minimum work is this: P2 is equal to root of P1 into P3. Okay, that is how multi-stage compression works. So to reduce the size of the cylinder also, say we have discussed that. Say suppose this displacement will be higher as the compression ratio, or the delivery pressure is more, this displacement of piston from bottom dead center to top dead center will be very high. This causes the balancing problems, hence also multi-stage compression is used. So by using 2 cylinders, the displacement will be less and the pressure we can get will be high. For that purpose also we will use a multi-stage compression. Okay, coming to rotary type of compressors, the centrifugal compressor is a rotodynamic reciprocating compressor. Sorry, rotary compressor it is a rotodynamic type. Here what happens is it uses the kinetic energy of the air and converts into pressure energy. So as the name indicates, it uses the centrifugal force to impart kinetic energy. So this is the front view and this is the side view of the compressor. Here this part, this purple color is called impeller. Here air will be available. So this is the part I am saying. So it is open to atmosphere. Here air enters like this and it will travel along the impeller like this. Due to the centrifugal force. So here it will be available due to high speed rotation of this, due to centrifugal force, this air will be forced out of the impeller due to centrifugal force. This all air will be collected here and there will be a path like this. Here if you see this is the shape of a diffuser. That means a diffuser converts this kinetic energy into pressure energy. That is how the pressure of the air will be increased. In case of centrifugal compressor, the pressure ratio will be very less. It is approximately less than 2. It will be less than 2. Say if it is 1 bar, it maximum it can get here is 2 bars. Centrifugal compressors are used generally for low pressure increase and high mass flow rate. We will use it only when we require high mass flow rate. Whereas for reciprocating compressor, if you see this, here the flow of air is not continuous because there will be suction stroke. And also a storage tank is required to collect this so that we can supply uniform compressed air. Whereas in this case, centrifugal compressor, it is not required as it is a continuous supply of air will be available in this case. Okay, this is how it is very simple. You have to draw this diagram and it will be given for 5 marks or 10 marks. If it is 5 marks, 2.5 marks will be given for diagram and 2.5 marks for the explanation of the. Here the casing is called volute casing because a volute or involute will be like this, right? Okay, similarly the casing will also be like this. The air will be coming like this and it will go like this. Okay, this is how a centrifugal compressor works. Coming to the another type of rotodynamic compressor, this is also a non-positive displacement or rotodynamic compressor, axial flow compressor. Here if you observe here, the airflow will be in the direction of radius of the impeller. That is why it is called as radial flow compressor, because the flow is in the direction of radius. Here in axial flow, if you take the axis of the compressor, so this is the drive shaft, this is the axis of the compressor, and the airflow will be parallel to the axis. That is why it is called as axial flow compressor. The flow direction is parallel to the flow direction is parallel to the this will also be run at high velocity. There will be two parts. One is fixed blades, or it will be attached to a casing. So there will be a casing like this, and casing there will be fixed blades. These are all fixed blades. The green are moving means, that means this will rotate like this. Only rotor part will rotate. Due to this flow, it is like a fan. If fan rotates, what happens? Air will be flow in this direction, or ceiling fan. Similarly, if it rotates like this, the air motion will be like this. So if you observe this, the area here is this much, whereas at the delivery the area has reduced drastically. Due to this, it is forcing the air to go to the narrow path, thereby producing the compression effect. Okay, here what it say, it is like a fan will rotate like this, right? When it is rotating, the air is forced in this direction. So here if you observe the area, so at the starting this much of area is available for flow at this point. If you take the cross section of it, it will be like this, whereas here it will be this much. So only this much area will be available to flow. That is why compression takes place and the pressure of this will increase. In generally, axial flow compressor can obtain a pressure ratios up to 12:1, and this is mainly used in gas turbines. All gas turbines will generally use axial flow compressor. This is the working of an axial flow compressor. Next one is roots blower or lobe compressor. Here this is a positive displacement type compression. That means there will be no chance of flow in backward direction. So this is the suction. What happens when this lobe is rotating, certain amount of, that means if it is in this position, certain amount of air is struck here. So and this will come like this and the air here will be delivered. So it is just guiding the air from a low pressure side to high pressure side. Similarly, this is also rotating in this direction. It is like a gear. If it is rotating like this, this will rotate like this. So some air will be trapped here and that air will be delivered in this direction. These are called lobes. These two are lobes. This is the casing. This is the suction side or intake side. This is the delivery side. So this is high pressure side. This is low pressure side. Generally a lobe will be like this. This much length will be there, which is not visible in front view. Okay, here air is trapped and will be delivered to the delivery side. This is lobe compressor. This is called vane compressor. There will be number of vanes. These are called vanes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 number of vanes are there, and these can slide in these slots like this. So if you see here, there is some gap. In this gap there will be a spring. When this is rotated in this direction and comes in this position, this spring will be fully compressed and this vane will be inserted into this slot. Here there is no chance of going back. There is no gap between the casing and the vane. So when it is rotating in this direction, what happens is air will be coming in this direction. As it goes in this direction, the area of the space between the vanes will be lesser and lesser. So this air will be delivered here because there is no chance of this air coming into this direction. This is also guides from a low pressure air into high pressure air zone. So these are the vanes, and these vanes can, suppose there will be like this slot will be there, spring will be there, and here there will be vane. These can slide in this direction. Okay, this is how a vane compressor works. So here, to accommodate this motion, the rotating drum will be non-concentric to the, so this drum will be like this and this casing will be like this. This is how the rotations takes place. This is stationary. Rotating drum will rotate in that direction. If you compare this reciprocating and rotary compressors, these are the comparisons you can observe. Generally reciprocating compressors very less discharge, the 300 meter cube per minute, whereas for rotary the discharge will be high, very high, but the delivery pressure will be very high in case of reciprocating compressor, whereas the delivery pressure will be less in rotary compressor. That is why you can say that reciprocating compressors are used for low discharge at high pressure, whereas rotary compressors are used for large discharges at low pressures. Reciprocating compressor, generally it will be very slow, whereas this RPM will be like 2000 RPM, whereas this will be 200 RPM. That is why isothermal compression can be possible, because it is slow in process. So it is very high, that is why adiabatic process. We have already discussed that in reciprocating compressor, air supply is intermittent, because during suction stroke there will be no delivery of air. Only during delivery stroke or compression stroke, there will be supply. Whereas in rotary, the supply is continuous. Operation speed low, high. Okay, directly coupled to a prime mover, it can be done, but you need a flywheel to meet the fluctuations of the compressor. Here lubricating oil is required, and this air is exposed to a lubricating oil, whereas in rotary compressor, say he is talking about centrifugal and axial, there will be no problem of lubricating oil contamination. So since it is a reciprocating compressor, friction will be very high, here very less, because it is a reciprocating compressor. So balancing, as I said earlier, whenever there is an reciprocating system, we need a flywheel, and also there will be vibrations. To reduce this vibrations, the compression will be done in multiple stages. Here it is a rotary motion, so there is no chance of vibrations or imbalancing. Okay, so this is how the theory or compressors work. Now we will see a problem on reciprocating compressor. So first, if you write the formula for single stage, so W is equal to N by N minus 1 into P1 V1 multiplied by P2 by P1 whole power N minus 1 by N minus 1. This is for single stage work input. If you say we have to calculate power, it will be equal to Wn by 60, where N is RPM of the engine. So for multi-stage, intermediate pressure or P2 will be equal to square root of P1 P3, and the formula for work input is N by N minus 1 into P1 V1 multiplied by P3 by P1 whole power 2N by N minus 1 into P1 V1 multiplied by P3 by P1 whole power N minus 1 by 2N minus 1. There are number of formulas. This is easier than all the. P3 is at the end of compression or delivery pressure, P1 is suction pressure, P2 is intercooler pressure. We will use this formula and we will try to solve a problem. This is the problem given. So air from an initial conditions of 25 degrees centigrade and 1 bar. So P1 is equal to 1 bar and T1 is equal to 25 plus 273 is equal to 298 Kelvin. Is compressed in two stages. So there is two stages, and it follows the law PV power 1.25 is equal to constant, and with complete intercooling to a pressure of, so P3 is given 36 bar. So here complete intercooling means perfect intercooling. For perfect intercooling, we know that P1 V1 is equal to, or we can say this, do one thing. Say if you draw the PV diagram, so this is suction stroke, compression in first stage, intercooling, then compression again, delivery. 0, 1, 2, 2 dash, 3, 4. Okay, this is the, so for perfect intercooling and also for a minimum work required, P2 is equal to square root of P1 P3, which is equal to square root of 1 into 36 equal to 6 bar. Heat rejected intercooler, that we will calculate later. So minimum work formula is W is equal to N by N minus 1 P1 V1 multiplied by P3 by P1. So P3 by P1 whole power N minus N by 2N minus 1. So here N is known, N is equal to 1.25. P1 is given 1 bar, V1 we have to calculate from PV equal to MRT. So Cp and R also given. So P3 is known, P1 is known. We can find out the work input. Here we can also use the formula. So square root of P3 by P1 is equal to P2 by P1 if you remove this 2. Okay, P2 is also known. So V1 P1 V1 is equal to MRT1. So here we will assume M as 1, then we will get V1 is equal to P1 which is 1 bar or 100 kPa by R is 0.29 multiplied by 298, or we can use directly MRT1. Anything is fine. We'll do one thing, directly use MRT1. So becomes, so if you write it's 2 into 1.25 by 1.25 minus 1 which is 0.25 into P1 V1 which is MRT1 1 into 0.29 multiplied by T1 is 298 multiplied by P2 is 6 by 1 whole power 0.25 by 1.25 minus 1. So here we can substitute in bar also, because 6 by 1, or if you convert this into kilopascals, this is 600 kilopascals, this is 100 kilopascals. So 600 by 100 is similar to 6 by 1. To calculate this came as 372.4 kilojoules. Okay, so if RPM is given, we can find out the power. So another thing is he has asked us about amount of heat rejected. So we have already learned that here at 2 to 3 this is the process of intercooling. So pressure is constant. So at constant pressure heat rejected is equal to mCp delta T. So initial temperature is T2 and final temperature will be T2 dash, which is equal to T1. For perfect intercooler, T2 dash will be equal to T1. Okay, T2 minus T1. T2 minus T1. So here T2 can be calculated using pressure ratios, which is P2 by P1 equal to T2 by T1 whole power gamma by minus 1 by gamma. Okay, from that 6 cap sorry, not here, gamma is written as N. To 298. this is equal to, from this, T2 equal to 426.43 Kelvin. So if you substitute this 1 into Cp is 1.05 multiplied by T2 is 426.43 minus 298 is equal to 134 kilojoules. This is how you will solve this problem. Here you have to remember this formula and work done in a single stage formula. Try to practice some example problems in the textbook. You will be able to solve them in the exam. Thank you.